one more trick up her sleeve. On Saturday, um, I knew we were doing something. I wasn't sure, like what. I literally had actually no idea. It was only when we were getting ready. She just told me like, "Oh, like we're going to do something small, Saturday at around 6." I was like, okay, cool. And I knew we weren't like eating or like going out to dinner because we had eaten dinner beforehand. And I was like, oh, like, well, so I was like, what should I wear to this thing? I was like, am I allowed to like be like, can I be comfy? She like, at least I think it is, or I think so. I
You
swear,
can
I
wear
saw
your
like this.
you can wear your Eagle stuff if you really want to, if that's what you're
Exactly.
asking.
Yeah, obviously. But no, so I saw like the slightest crack in his smile. So I was like, all right, that's my first clue. She's up to something. So I still didn't know what. So we get going and I recognize like the road we're on around. I'm not going to say it out loud because I hate ruining surprises, but like I think we're going to the Wilmington Brew Company, and sure enough, we pulled in there, and I like right then and there, I was like, all right, we got to be meeting people or something like that because like why else would we be here? Because she's not a beer person, but I kept forgetting that to be fair, they do have other drinks. So I was like, we'll probably meet some people. I was like, cool. I didn't, to be fair, didn't know who we're meeting, and sure enough, who's there waiting for me? The very one and only Michael Whitmer, Tom Fitzgerald, Megan Fitzgerald, and of course Matt Bevnor, and eventually Brian Appleby.
Yes.
So no, it was a very nice surprise. So no, I was ecstatic to see all you guys, and it was such a great time, and we had an absolute blast. So we were there for like 3 hours, I think.
Yeah, we were there for a few hours, but that also made sense because it was like the first time we were all like together since probably Tommy's wedding, honestly.
Pretty much, yeah.
Which was the end of 23, so it's been a hot minute. So obviously, in that time, we're just kind of catching up, kind of just
just goofing off and being our usual selves and whatnot.
Yeah, exactly.
And perfect example of that is obviously you know what I'm talking about, but to try to describe it to the people listening and or watching, it's the ring toss game, where at the table there is like a little mini tower, but there's instead of it's usually just like one hook that you try to swing the ring on and everything. That this one is actually my personal favorite version of it. There's like 4 hooks, like one on each side of the tower, and we started having fun racing each other, and then I forget, it was probably Matt or Brian, but one of them suggested, okay, like whoever gets the worst time.
I think it was Brian because he was being cocky because he got like one or two tries the first time. It was like, next we should all have a tournament, and that whoever loses, has to buy a round for everybody.
Exactly.
Little did he know that everyone else was able to get it. He and I were the only ones because the was a minute cutoff because we were timing each one because that's kind of how we were. Kind of
exactly, yeah. But individually, like one at a time. So I started it off. I got it within about 11, 12 seconds.
Yeah,
and she surprised me because she told me this is the first time she's ever tried it. She got in within 8 seconds, I think.
Yeah, but everybody was kind of getting it pretty quickly, and then I think I was just kind of crumbling in the pressure. I think even Tommy got a little bit higher, but he was eventually able to get it right before the cutoff. He was actually able to get it on.
It was Matt.
It was Matt. Sorry.
That's who it was.
That's what it was. Sorry.
Tommy
got it. Yeah, that's what it was.
It was crazy. Yeah,
I got it mixed up. I thought it was Matt. Yeah, 2 seconds, but Matt. Yeah.
So then Matt was crumbling under pressure because he was giving a lot of shit to Brian, and then we're like, Matt, come on, man, the pressure, and
but he got it. So then it came down to a sudden death between Brian and I. And
technically, I think Brian should have just lost right away because he disqualified himself because he never finished it. You at least, I think, got it like a minute 5, minute 10 seconds, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong.
I didn't get it at all.
Okay.
We just said after that minute, we said the minute was the cutoff, essentially. Because he essentially DQ'd, so it just made it easier. So then we did the sudden death.
The ring off,
Yeah, the ring off. Which took probably longer than it should have, but
like 45 seconds.
Yeah, but I won.
Hey, that's not nice. You didn't come in last.
So Brian then gave everybody his phone, and we all got drinks. Thank you, Brian, for that.
Thanks, Brian guy.
The kindness of his heart.
Yes.
And obviously for Jeff's birthday, because otherwise he just wasn't going to do that.
Exactly. Now here's the real question, though. What would happen if I ended up coming in last in that? Would you guys have just said, "Oh, you're buying drinks anyway," or because we were theoretically there celebrating my birthday, we said, "All right, everyone, just next
Well, my
class,
thought
next
process
close
actually
time."
wasn't that. Was, well, what if it's you or Danny because you're essentially
True.
the same account or
Account,
whatever
yeah,
bank, so
yeah,
it's like
true,
you're paying anyways, kind
yeah,
of.
exactly. Yeah,
Um,
yeah. Well, thankfully, we'll never know. So,
yes, thankful that never happened. Actually, the
yeah.
question really is: so you really didn't know until you were actually kind of on your way that
Pretty much,
something was
yeah,
up.
because I knew like pretty much as we were getting ready, but I knew something was up because again, so as we were getting ready, when I asked, her, I was like, doesn't matter what I wear because I'm like, I'm just gonna be comfy. But like, if it actually matters what I need to wear, then like, yeah, like I'll dress up. I don't mind that, but like, I need to know like, is it super casual? Is it like, at least like look semi decent out? And she kind of like had the slightest crack on her smile, and she's like, yeah, like you can be comfy, And I was like, okay, and yeah, and
Yeah,
at one point I happened to I forget how, but I or whatever, but I happened to like glance over at one point when we were like all getting ready and whatnot, and I just saw a mass text on her phone, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I was like, oh, she's probably talking to her two best friends, who to be fair, we had a group chat with. They're coming tomorrow to the house to get some stuff done. So I was like, oh, probably just texting the girls or
tomorrow
whatever.
being
But
yesterday.
yeah, exactly. Yes, thank you. Sorry, glad you worded it that way. What is life? But so I was like, whatever, just don't overthink it. And then as we were on the way, it was really funny because
Excuse you.
hold on one second, sorry.
But yeah, it was definitely a fun kind of little outing. I wasn't sure if how it was going to be in terms of you being surprised or not.
Yeah.
Because that's always the hardest kind of thing. You kind of had it because I feel like she was trying to do that because you did it for her birthday.
Oh
You did
yeah,
a
for sure.
surprise party. But even
Yeah.
then, I feel like she had to have some kind of inkling that it was going to happen. She texted maybe like a month or so ago, kind of planning this whole thing out, saying what would be a good,
Yeah.
like when would be a good time for us to do it and everything. Thankfully, pretty much fell the day after your
Yeah.
birthday.
Yeah. So no,
I'm
it
sure
worked out
everybody,
perfectly.
yeah, worked out perfectly. The only real, wild card was potentially going to be Megan and Tommy because they were coming from Virginia. And
Yeah.
thankfully, Tommy had a Spartan run, so he was kind of already going to be
In New
coming up
Jersey.
this way
Yeah.
anyways. So,
Well, so it was funny because so Tom and I we were originally planning on my birthday for Friday night to go see the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith in the theaters. But he's like, "Well, I got my Spartan race on that Sunday. It's going to be extremely hard to plan around." And we tried for like weeks to try to plan it. We couldn't get to work because I had it's fine, whatever. But it does remind me of something. So it was very funny though because earlier in the week, Friday, when we were catch up on the phone, I was like, "Oh, yeah, dude," I was like, "I think it's been a while since I was like, we also need to catch up sometime soon, grab a beer together at some point in time, this and that." And then I was talking to Matt because like we always try to give each other a call on our birthdays and whatnot, and or like birthday weekends. And I text him like I think that morning. I was like, "Hey man," I was like, "Oh, like what time works best for you?" And he's like, "Well, I gotta track me," which he actually did. He's like, "Oh, how about tomorrow? We'll catch up then." I was like, "Perfect, that sounds good." And then, of course, like as soon as we get there, he's sitting there. I see him first, and I see you guys. I was like, oh shit, let's go! And right away, and as I agree, I was like, oh, I guess we'll catch up today then.
yep,
and
yep,
and Brian
yep.
basically said the same thing. He's like, oh yeah, by the way, Jeff, we're getting our beer together now. I was like, I see that.